AITA for wanting to leave my husband over golf. I, 38F, met my now husband, 40M, about 10 years ago. We've been together for 8 years and have now been married for 5. We grew up a few towns over from each other and met through a mutual friend. A little background on the two of us. We both come from big, close-knit families and grew up in neighboring beach towns on the East Coast. I moved away right after high school and had 2 children in my early 20s. After becoming a single mom, I moved home where I had more family and support. My kids and I have been through a lot together, but we have a beautiful relationship and are incredibly close even now in their teenage years. I met my husband when my son was 4 and my daughter was turning 6. He had a long and complicated battle with addiction, starting in his mid-teens and lasting the majority of his adult life. When we met, he was sober and on the right path, but still figuring it all out and getting his life as an adult on track for the first time. I was starting to fall for him, but I was clueless and naive, with no experience with drugs or addiction. He broke things off with me, saying it was better if I didn't get involved with him because he didn't have his life together and that he'd only end up hurting me. I quickly learned through a friend that he had relapsed shortly after he broke things off. He even ended up in jail. And that's what finally got him sober for good. He turned his life around after that, finished barber school, became a master barber, and started making good money working at one of those expensive shops where rich guys get their hair cut. Meanwhile, I had been in an on-again, off-again relationship for a little over 2 years. When that finally ended, he reached out to me, hoping to reconnect, even just as friends. I had never stopped caring about him or thinking of him. We started dating. But I wanted to take it slow. I wanted to make sure he was actually good this time. But it soon became undeniable that we were madly in love. He professed his love for me first and made his intentions clear that he wanted to be with me forever. I slowly started bringing him around the kids. He'd cut my son's hair, and we'd all go to dinners together, and things were going just perfectly. He kept all his promises to me and them. He made me believe in soulmates. I had never been happier. After 2 years together, we got a place and all moved in together. That year, around Christmas time, he proposed. It was after the most perfect day together with the kids. He said he wanted to spend the rest of his life having days like that together. He had asked my parents' permission, as well as both kids. They were 10 and 11 when we got married. They were our best man and maid of honor. We got married in 2019, and the following year, COVID hit. The 4 of us were in a fairly small apartment during quarantine, and my parents decided to generously help us buy a home. My husband made decent money but was terrible with finances and saving. I paid for our wedding almost entirely on my own with my own savings and some help from both sets of parents. He paid for his suit. When it came time to buy the house, I had $17,000 left in savings after what I spent on the wedding. I asked him to come up with $3,000 so we could put $20,000 as a down payment. He could not financially contribute, so I ended up buying the house with my parents instead. I always say we bought a house, but in reality, he is not on the deed. We moved in October 2020. We had a lot of room and 2 spare bedrooms. My husband immediately pushed to have his dad move in with us. His parents are divorced, and his dad lives a couple of hours away with his family. His mom lived in the town we bought our house, and my parents live in the same town as well. His 2 brothers live nearby, and one was expecting a baby, the first grandchild. He thought it would be great to have his dad move in and be closer to everyone. Plus, his dad could help contribute by paying rent and helping around the house, so I agreed, and my father-in-law moved into the guest room downstairs. Things were going really well at first. My father-in-law helped with cleaning and even cooked dinner a couple of nights a week. I tried not to let it bother me that my husband contributed the least and that his dad always helped in a way that covered what would have been my husband's responsibilities. I didn't mention it because at least I was getting help, even if it wasn't directly from my husband. I worked multiple jobs in the childcare industry, sometimes multiple jobs a day. My kids are essentially my sole responsibility. After work, all pickups and drop-offs are all me. All chorus concerts, games, parent-teacher conferences, just me. Aside from the sport my son plays that my husband also likes, that's really the only thing I could count on him showing up for. He loves the kids, but he's not the most involved step-parent. My husband works in the city and has a long commute, but only works 3.5 days a week. Even on his days off, the vast majority of all household and family responsibilities fall on me. I do all the grocery shopping and buy all the household goods. I am the only one who ever cooks. My husband has never made dinner even once, but we have a good, loving marriage and life that we are happy with. No major issues, no infidelity, no major drama of any kind. I lurk on Reddit a lot and see a lot of messed up marriages and have considered myself lucky, thinking our marital problems are minor, until golf. It's going to sound crazy, but I think golf will be the death of my marriage. About 2 years ago, my husband decided to take up golf. As I mentioned before, my husband struggled with addiction for most of his adult life. He's been sober for close to 9 years now, but he still struggles with moderation. He doesn't save. He spends. He has more clothes and shoes than any man I know. We are middle working class, and I was taught to save my money. I'm not rich, but my savings paid for our wedding and our house. He doesn't know how to save, just like he doesn't know how to have hobbies in moderation. Last summer, we almost got divorced over the amount of time he was spending on golf. He became obsessed. He spent 3.5 days working and 3.5 days golfing. I was going through a bout of depression at the time, and he was gone. He golfed constantly, even when I would literally beg him not to. I thought our marriage was over, but I was able to pull myself out of depression, and soon golf season was over, and things went back to being okay again. But now, golf season is back, and somehow it's even worse than before. Now he knows that his excessive golfing is a major problem for me, and that it almost ended up in divorce, but he does it just as much, if not more. Now he takes days off to golf. He'll call in sick to golf. He's golfing until nearly 9 p.m. most days. He goes to driving ranges after work daily. It's constant. Not only does he somehow contribute even less than before, but I've lost any help I once had from my father-in-law. He enables his son's behavior and encourages it. He spends more time with his father golfing than me and the kids combined, multiplied by 100. I wish that was an exaggeration. He has bailed last minute on family trips that were planned and confirmed for weeks, even months in advance. Suddenly he won't feel up for it. These special family trips are the only time we have together anymore, since all he does is golf. Now he's skipping them to play even more golf. He has no restraint whatsoever. It's all he talks about, all he cares about, all he does. And he's completely delusional about it. When I bring this up, he has major meltdowns. He blows up, calls me lazy, attacks my character, and claims he does everything around here. I promise you, Reddit, he does less than the bare minimum. He takes care of himself. I take care of everyone else. He and his dad don't even buy their own toilet paper. I can't bring it up anymore. It gets us nowhere. Also, my father-in-law has been living with us for 4 years now, and the once helpful dynamic has changed drastically. Both of my husband's brothers now have small children, and my in-laws help them daily. The help I used to receive now goes to my brother-in-law, and the only thing my father-in-law does when he's here is golf with my husband. I find it hard to believe that he doesn't realize this is destroying my marriage. I'm becoming so resentful of this. At this point, I'm numb. He's the only man I've ever loved so fully and completely. I thought it was fate when he came back to me. He could have died like so many of his friends and people we know. But he lived, and we found each other again. But is that enough? Is love enough when you have no quality time, no help, no support, and no consideration of your feelings? So Aita for wanting to leave my husband over golf.